Well, hi there guys, and welcome to another video. So guys, I've recently taken receipt of an Amazon delivery, and I thought I would open these items up and take a look with you in tow. So without further ado, let's continue. The first item is kind of irrelevant to the rest of it, but I ordered it anyway. I'm going to use my Leatherman side clip to open this package. Now this first thing, as I say, not really relevant to the rest of it, but I had a requirement for some batteries, and I didn't want to use rechargeables. I wanted something with a bit of welly, and I went on Amazon, and I was like, right, how many batteries do I need? Oh, I don't know, 4. And I thought, well, what's the price difference between 4 and 8? Actually, there's basically nothing. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, what's the next thing up? And that just kind of carried on for a while. And then I realised that the overall price difference for getting a slightly large number of batteries was not particularly great at all. So I kind of, I probably bought more batteries than I need, if I'm totally and completely honest with you. So here we go. Amazon Basics, because, you know, they're single-use batteries, disposable. Didn't really want to push the boat out there. These, I think, are 4 boxes in the main box, and I think each of these 4 boxes contains 50 batteries. So I seem to have come into possession of 200 Amazon Basics batteries because, well, they weren't much more expensive than 4. And really, I guess I should just have added it to my grocery order or something. But yes, there we go. So it looks like they come in groups of 5, and then we have 10 of those groups of 5 in a little box, and 4 of the little boxes in a big box, which results in lots of batteries. Well, looks like I'm set for a while. Won't be needing to use any rechargeables. Very, very environmentally friendly of me. I think we can all agree. Let's put that aside now. Right, on to the main event. So the first thing I got here was a box here from Waveshare since 2006. This is somewhat cocooned in tape, so let's just cut that out of its cocoon here, which may take a little while. Let me just introduce you to what you're about to see. So, as many of you know, I like the Raspberry Pi action. I own a total of 5 Raspberry Pis, and I have done various things with them over the years. The first Raspberry Pi I ever got ended up in a data center, connected directly into a device on a 10 gig backbone, and I just used it for serving a website, a static page actually. Rather silly. Not perhaps as silly as some of my later endeavours with Atom PCs connected at 10 gig, but never mind. This is actually an absurd amount of tape protecting this. I guess that's necessary to successfully get here from China. Where does this even open? I think it opens on the bottom here. I seem to be cutting through an awfully large amount of tape. I probably should have maybe time-lapsed this. There we go, right. So, opening the box, the Waveshare since 2006. There we have it. So what is in the box? Well, a little screwdriver, how quaint. And some little screws. How lovely. Little screws for my little screwdriver. Good, okay, well that will come in handy. What else have we got in here? We have a power adapter with a jobber on it, and a option for that kind of plug, and I don't know if I have options for other kind of plugs. No, I don't, by the looks of it, but that's fine, because I actually think I have another adapter that takes this same rotatey thing that I do have a UK plug for, but that's fine. I can make do there, no problem at all. What do we have in here? We have a little fan. Sorry, I got totally distracted from what I was saying about Raspberry Pis. I've got a aerial with a cable there, and then I have the Waveshare CM4 IO PoE box. So getting back to the point, I decided that I wanted to take my Raspberry Pi action to the next level. Sorry for the loudness of these bags. And as we all know, the next level after just a straight up fixed feature Raspberry Pi is to buy the Raspberry Pi compute module, which is the guts of a Raspberry Pi but without all of the I/O and stuff, and put the compute module on a board designed to receive the compute module, one of which is the Waveshare IO board, and here we have it. So here is Waveshare's compute module 4 PoE board. So it's got on it a couple of HDMIs, which I will not be using. It has a 4-piece of USB. It has an Ethernet port, which is fully PoE capable. Once I finish getting this set up, I am going to be using the PoE. I've got a D-Link PoE switch, which is why I'm so not bothered about this. I can just use a universal adapter or something or whatever to get my initial setup done. But then yes, I will be PoEing it, so that's good. I think that's what that little box there is all about, taking my PoE. Okay, and then it's got some of these other ports on the back. I'm not going to use even a fraction of this stuff. So there we go. Yes, so that's what I'm going to do there. There's a little hole there for the antenna, which I'll be screwing in. And then the antenna itself, the little cable that comes with it, actually plugs straight on to the compute module. So anyway, and then there's a there's a somewhere here. There's the slot for, oh, there we go, TF card, trans flash, or as you would call SD. That is a really retro term for an SD card, but I appreciate it. Thank you, China. Right, so that's my box. Then in this little box, I have a box-in-box situation, or a BIBS as you would say. This is the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. Ooh, what a beauty. So let's pop that open and carefully remove the compute module from the box. So here is a Raspberry Pi Compute Module. Those of you who've had Raspberry Pis will recognise that it is certainly similar to some of the components that you would see on a Raspberry Pi. But it has the connector on the bottom for connecting it to the I/O board, which you've just seen. And there's a Waveshare sticker on there, so I think I did actually source this particular piece from Waveshare as well, because why not? They are an industry leader in the Pi space. And then to go with that, so there's the screw holes on there that you use to affix it to the board. And then I bought a heatsink to pop on the top of that boy, just in case I rag it hardcore. And then I got myself a SanDisk Max Endurance 32 gig SD card, or TF card, as some of you people would say. Yes, so that's what we've got to play with. Talking of that time lapse, maybe that would be the best way to go about the next section of the video. Right, that's the antenna attached to the back. Now the reason that is so relevant, and the reason I went with the compute module with the radio, is because I intend to use this as an access point. My recently purchased Google Nest cameras are having a wee bit of bother connecting to my my existing Raspberry Pi based access points, which of course do not have antennas because they're ordinary Raspberry Pis, and I'm using the built-in radio. I specifically want to use the built-in radio because I want to go for some 5 GHz action, and any of the 5 GHz USB based ones I have a hell of a hard time getting to work on a Raspberry Pi, and they just get on my nerves. So yes, the built-in radio seems to be great, just not great signal, but this will fix that. Right, next. Angry bishops, angry bishops I know. Angry bishops, angry bishops I know. So I haven't screwed it in yet, just checking the placement. So this is where the compute module goes on the board, and then the heatsink goes over there like that, and that leaves the antenna connector exposed there so that we can whap that bad boy in there. So I'm going to get that screwed in now. Here we go then, eyes down for a full house. Should be about half a pack. Ah, yes. Right, so that took a little bit of figuring out. I didn't find the instructions very easily. That explained I needed to first attach the heatsink to the compute module and then the compute module to the board. I was trying to do it in reverse order and it wasn't obvious. Anyway, so heatsink, compute module on the board, antenna plugged in to the compute module as well, so that's kind of all of that bit put together. So the next bit will be attaching the fan to the inside of the lid and then attaching that to the fan header on the board. Well, that has not worked out so well, because it turns out that the clearance of the fan over the heatsink doesn't seem to be sufficient, which is unideal. I can only assume that means I've used the wrong screws, because the screws protrude ever so slightly from the fan. So I will see if there are some other screws in the package that may be more appropriate to fixing this boy. No feasible solution to this. Time to get the Dremel. We'll pop some rinse aid in there. Again, finish is best. We'll probably spill some, but that doesn't matter too much. There we go. So, as it turned out, the battery pack for my Dremel was basically empty. There was about enough power to cut through gummy bears, not through the tips of screws. So I recharged it overnight, and then the morning came, and I was successful in my efforts in cutting the ends off these screws. There was a bit of inadvertent plastic scuffage where I wasn't paying proper attention. Not that one needs to pay full attention when one is using a high-speed cutting tool. Right, so that's that. Now, hopefully this will now attach back on here. I say hopefully, obviously I tried it before putting the camera back on, and yes, it does attach back on here. So we can put that back together now. So we have, yes, our antenna, our heatsink, our compute module, our I/O board, everything that we need. And I also took the liberty of preparing a network cable and appropriate power to power up the device pre my PoE setup. So let's just finalize that. And there we have it, one screwed together Waveshare box, the CM4 IO PoE box, powered by the Raspberry Pi compute module. Okay, let's grab the SD card from the packaging. And then I'll place my SanDisk Max Endurance 32 gig SD card, you would say TF card, in here. Not that it really makes much odds at this point because there's nothing on it, but I just wanted to prove that it would go in there. That seems to be upside down. I guess it must go this way up. Perhaps, maybe. Well, that's a deep piece. That's quite a deep piece. No, I don't think that's right. I think that's upside down. It's certainly not behaving the way I would expect your typical slot to behave, in that it doesn't seem to really... Yeah, that feels like when you try and put something in the wrong way around in an SD card slot and it's not lined up properly, whereas the other way up it seems to go in but doesn't seem to like click into place or anything, which is not brilliant. Oh no, I just wasn't giving enough welly. Oh, it doesn't seem to line up exactly perfectly, but that's fine. Obviously I have to take it out again in a moment to put something on there. But anyway, let's just see what happens. Let's plug the Ethernet cable in there and power it on, albeit with a blank SD card, and see if something occurs. Oh, well, an ACT light has come on the box. And I can confirm the fan has spun up, and I can confirm an Ethernet link light on the switch. So yeah, it does look like the box is at the very least powering on to some degree. So what I will do now is I will grab the latest Raspberry Pi edition of Ubuntu, stick it on that card, and make the appropriate changes so it enables SSH on first power up, and then power it up again and see what happens. Okay, so I have put the Ubuntu image on the SD card and I've put it back in the device. It was actually quite easy, the whole lines up fairly well. Now I will power it back on. Let's see what happens. I'm currently watching my DHCP server over here so that I can see what address it picks up, assuming all is well. Right, power. There is power. That's not it, I don't think. I think that was a wee bit premature. I think that's something else on my network. One of my Google Nest cameras is dropping out and reconnecting quite a lot because of the poor wireless, which this will hope to remediate, and so I do get this continuous stream of address requests and such. Right, so we do have a link light there. Oh, here we go. DHCP offer 124 to a machine called Ubuntu. That's promising. So let's fire up another SSH client and let's try connecting to that IP address 192.168.0.124, and lo and behold, there is something there. And so let's try logging in. That might help if we use the username Ubuntu rather than the username root, which is what I default to. So Ubuntu at 192.168.0.124. Let's try that. Password is going to be Ubuntu, I believe, on first boot. There we go. We are indeed there. Right, a couple of attempts at basic password changing later, and there we are. Sudo -I, and there we are. A root prompt on my new Compute Boy IP link list, and there we have it, ETH0 WLAN 0. So all is as it should be. I'm now in a position to be able to set up a bridge interface on there, bridge the Ethernet onto that, and then set up host APD on there, and have it connect to clients to that bridge interface. And then we're basically done. I'm not going to be showing the setup of host APD in this video, but maybe that'll be something I'll do in the future. Anyway guys, that's it. That's the unboxing and initial setup of my Waveshare CM4 IO PoE box featuring the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. I hope you found the video interesting and informative, and as always guys, please do feel free to comment below. I will read all your comments and respond where I think it is appropriate. Please do consider letting me know what you use Raspberry Pis for in your setup, personally or professionally. That's about all we've got time for now guys, so until the next video, I look forward to seeing you next time. But for now,